Hey guys, I'm Kate. Welcome back to my channel, and today I want to talk about what an author owes their readers. And I put owes in quotes because I think that's a really loaded word, so maybe a better question is what the responsibility of the author is to the readers. There are a couple things recently that have inspired this topic for me. The first one was that I was listening to a podcast, and the hosts of the podcast were saying that they felt betrayed by the epilogue in J.K. Rowling's Deathly Hallows book, and I thought that was fascinating, their discussion around it. And then the second thing is just the ever-present conversation around what George R.R. Martin is or isn't doing in regards to the Game of Thrones series, why he hasn't finished it yet, if he's even going to, and just like the cumulative feelings surrounding it. But before we get super far into this, I do want to say that writing and books are art, first and foremost, which means that the creator is making their art. And in the publishing world, there may be other people surrounding that art and helping that art, but ultimately it is almost always inspired by one person's brain. It is their brainchild, and it would be cruel and wrong to demand something of them. But also, I do feel like an author has some amount of responsibility, even in the most minimal sense. But we will get to that because first I want to go over all of the ways that an author does not owe their readers. These kind of conversations come up almost exclusively when we're talking about a series, and usually the anticipation between readers wanting the next book and writers not having it written yet, that kind of dynamic is just really interesting, and I think that's where a lot of these problems kind of stem from. First, a writer does not owe their audience an ending that they, the reader, wants. That is not how this works. Not at all. Because again, it's art, it's subjective, and the writer is truly the one with the answers. And I used to write fan fiction, so I totally get the appeal of wanting to take someone else's world and characters that you've grown so fond of and make them do what you want to do, but ultimately that's not what the author owes you. You're welcome to do that on various fanfiction sites. That's what they're there for, and fanfiction is the way that a lot of writers get their start. So like, again, I'm not disparaging that, but you can't expect your fanfiction ending to be the actual ending. That would be ridiculous. Which actually sort of brings up fan service in general, because I know that this is more a problem that TV deals with a lot of the times, and off the top of my head I'm thinking of some of the relationships that are featured in the show Arrow. But it goes back to the same thing, thinking that because you're one reader or one watcher, you get to dictate how something's going to end, or who's going to get together, or anything like that. Like, no, they are the creator and you are the consumer, and if you don't like what the creator is making, stop consuming it. Like, that's all you can do. That is the relationship y'all have. But that's also not to say that a reader isn't owed anything, like in the George R.R. Martin example. But I'm not going to take this to the extreme that some people do, because all I think an author or a writer really owes their readers is like a Deadpool thing, which is just maximum effort. Because sometimes when that doesn't happen as a reader, it's just like you've been taken on this amazing journey, and then just like, it feels like a betrayal, like you're not ever going to get an ending, and that's a hard thing for a reader. But there's certain reasons that's the case, and that's why it has to be that way. Because as a writer myself, I understand that writing is hard, and sometimes even the writer doesn't know the answers yet. Like in George R.R. Martin's example, who knows what's really gonna happen there, but a lot of people have suggested that maybe he's just built such a huge world that trying to get that down to a reasonable conclusion, it's gonna be freaking hard. The TV show is doing it in some ways, but and other times you have personal reasons for not being able to finish a story. I've done that sans audience, thankfully, and I don't even know how I would feel if someone said that I had to finish a story that for personal reasons I just can't. That would be tough. And then on top of that, sometimes there are contractual issues where a book series isn't picked up for the remaining books that the author had envisioned. And that's tough for everyone involved. It leaves the readers without a conclusion, but it also leaves the writer being kind of unable to finish the story and give that to the readers. And there have been people in the past who have put up like ebooks on their website for free so that readers can finish the rest of the series. But to demand that, which I have seen before, especially on Twitter, and I know Twitter is like the best and worst, but point being, there are people out there that truly think that the writer owes them the remaining story, forgetting that this is how they make money. And that's a lot of effort to put into something. So much effort. Oh my god, that's so much effort to put into something that you're not getting paid for. And then you have all the personal issues of your contract being dropped. Like, sometimes that's just too much. An author and a writer, they're only human, so you can't, there's just crazy expectations that aren't cool. And also regarding the podcast, I'm about to get a little bit controversial as I relay this information to you, but basically they were talking about the 7th book of the Harry Potter series and the epilogue that a lot of people struggled with. I think that's a fair thing to say. You felt some way about it, let me tell you. The first time you read that, you felt some kind of way, and it's... Anyways, the point within the podcast was to highlight the importance of kill your darlings and when that phrase should be used and shouldn't be used. And they were saying that in their personal opinions, they think that J.K. Rowling should have killed her darlings and that she had an idea of what the end of the entire story should look like. But as she was writing books 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, it was led in a totally different direction than what the ending of 7 ought to have been. So there was a disconnect between the characters that we had grown to know over the entirety of the series and then the epilogue that we were given. So as a reader, you had some amount of shock when you finished it and you were just left kind of like, eh? And now some people loved it, don't get me wrong. I totally get where people are coming from, and I want to make the difference between the criticism of the out of character feeling at the end of the epilogue versus demanding a certain ending from J.K. Rowling. And it's just that when you're led to believe something as a reader, when you change that, it's more a sign of poorer storytelling. And again, I think it goes back to the maximum effort thing. I'm totally pulling a Deadpool. This is almost a Deadpool color. No, it's not. Oh, I have a Deadpool mask. Let me find it. This is so amazing. I never get to use this. Maximum effort. Anyways, that flew. And while I don't necessarily agree that the epilogue to Harry Potter was a bad one, I do have a book that I've read before where I swear halfway through it was like the writer just decided to say screw it, and it was like all of the characterization that was built into the story was just forgotten. Multiple characters seemed to be acting out of character with no explanation as to why, and I was so mad that I just I stopped reading, which is the choice of the reader to do, and I think that's what you have to do. So it feels hard because I got halfway through a story, I put in 150 pages worth of reading, and then for them to just kind of like crap on everything that they created before and on the journey that I felt I was on, that kind of does feel like a betrayal. But again, I put the book up, so what are you gonna do? So ultimately, I guess my opinions just come down to the effort that the author is putting in, and again, reiterating that an author or a writer does not owe their audience anything. And I think that's where the line has to be drawn personally, but I would love to hear y'all's opinion about it, so please comment down below and let me know if you think that the author has a responsibility to their readers and where you would draw that line. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all very soon with a new video. Bye. Oh no, I have to sneeze. Should probably just delete all of this. Oh dude, I can't talk right now. Sorry, friend. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all very soon with a new video. Bye. That's kind of terrifying. Can you see my eyes?